Thank you, Acting President. To be completely upfront, the reasons I cannot support the Gambling Taxation Bill today all have four legs. Horses and greyhounds endlessly exploited by this government and a cruel industry that knows no bounds, continuously propped up by hardworking Victorian taxpayer dollars. And rather do what is ethical and what is right, here we are today proposing to reward animal abuse even further in Victoria. Since day one, I have stood in this place and told you all about the true horrors of the racing industry in Victoria. I bring its discarded waste to work with me every single day, and they have names: Slayer and Frankie. Then there's May, Jerry and George, who have all made their way through our Team Foster efforts since I got elected. They like to lay on couches, have a good stretch and a little scratch behind the ear, something that the industry continuously deprives from them. I have long been involved in the growing movement against the use of animals in racing industries in Victoria. I've seen myself horses dying on the track in front of me. I've been inside Victorian knackeries and I've seen the abhorrent and squalid conditions inside greyhound racing kennels. This industry is failing animals at each and every turn, treating them as commodities instead of companions, the way that most Victorians expect them to be treated. This is exampled by 48 greyhounds being killed on Victorian government-funded racetracks last year. 3,289 were injured on the track. It's exampled by 37 horses being killed on Victorian racetracks last year, not to mention those that were sent to the slaughterhouse as wastage. It's exampled by 2 horses falling at Hamilton in jumps races today, with their injuries and their fate still unknown. And it's clear that this industry does not want the public to know what happens to these animals, because without fail, when one dies at the hands of these so-called sports, the race replay is swiftly deleted or edited because they are so desperate to protect their image as their social licence rapidly deteriorates day by day. To quote some recent participants from this industry, "When we have a possum to the greyhound, the more it scratched him, the more he went nuts. If anyone says anything, you went out and caught it in the run. It's not your fault." A few months ago, he was letting dogs live in his trailer because he didn't have enough kennels and he literally forgot about them and they starved to death. In 2002, I sent GRV an email telling them which trainer to buy live possums off and how much they were. Guess what? He's still selling possums. I went to the Racing Commission earlier this year with some recorded phone calls of trainers bragging about drugging dogs and live baiting. Nothing happened. Those are just a few of the conversations that have been sent through to my office in recent times. Participants in Victoria can breach the rules of racing. Not only do they breach them, they make an absolute mockery of them. They can send undesexed dogs to China for breeding and illegal racing in vile conditions, unpunished. I have raised in this place and inquired directly with Greyhound Racing Victoria's Integrity Unit about Aston Gigante and Aston Lee, owned by Raymond Border and sent to China. GRV have confirmed that they will not be following up on this matter, simply because Mr. Border is from South Australia and they're also registered there. And if a participant does get before the Victorian Racing Tribunal itself to respond to charges, the disparity between penalties speaks volumes to where this government's priority lies, with dirty gambling money. Yet this government continues to reward these industries endlessly. This bill seeks to increase the share of the point of consumption tax from 10% to 15%, at least another $140 million per year. With the increase to the point of consumption tax, the majority will be gifted back to the racing industry. It continues a cycle of problem gambling and a dying industry that has lost its social licence and cannot support itself, now rewarded and supported again. The gambling industry profits from addiction, distress, and from violence. Australians spend more than $24 billion annually, and the gambling industry has exceptional access and influence in politics and policy, and that is evidenced here today. I support any measures that minimise harm, protect consumers, and reduce corruption. This bill will achieve the opposite. I know that the Greens will be bringing amendments to this bill, and I will be supporting them. With the state budget handed down just last Tuesday, choosing to gift millions of dollars to the racing industry rather than to fund vital services that support people and animals simply does not make any sense. This revenue will be better distributed to social projects, health and wildlife protection, and animal welfare. Make the gambling industry pay their own way. Make them stand on their own 2 feet. A good modern government should fund the things that animals, people, and the planet need and deserve. So while this bill represents some changes that make sense, especially following the Royal Commission into the Crown Casino operator and licence, this government will never have my support in continuing to exploit animals.